The Westroads Mall shooting occurred on December 5, 2007, at the Maur department store in the Westroads Mall in Omaha, Nebraska. The shooter, 19-year-old Robert A. Hawkins, opened fire with a semi-automatic rifle, killing 8 people and injuring 4 others before turning the gun on himself and ending his own life. It was the most fatal mass killing in Nebraska since Charles Starkweather's spree in 1958. Robert Arthur Hawkins was born on May 17, 1988, at the RAF Lakenheath Base in Suffolk, England, UK, being the son of U.S. Air Force members Ronald Hawkins and Maribel Molly Rodriguez. He had an older sister who was born in Athens, Greece in 1984. The Hawkinses later lived in Winchendon, Massachusetts, their last stop before Ronald Hawkins moved in 1990 to La Vista, with his children but without his wife. Ronald Hawkins filed for legal separation and later divorce, alleging that Maribel used marijuana and drank excessively, affecting her ability to parent. He was on active duty in Saudi Arabia before the divorce became final in 1991. At the age of 4, Robert was admitted to the hospital due to consistent aggressive behavior in preschool. Doctors diagnosed him with attention deficit disorder and post-traumatic stress disorder, both linked to the instability of his home life. According to his mother, around the age of 6, Robert developed more behavioral problems, including hitting, biting, and kicking his teachers. However, some teachers remember him as a quiet, scrawny student who was sometimes picked on. He was hospitalized for depression at the Richard Young Center, a psychiatric hospital. He was also placed in therapy and on medication. In 2002, one day following his 14th birthday, Hawkins was admitted to a Missouri juvenile mental health facility for homicidal threats he made against his stepmother. He remained in the treatment center for a total of 9 months. Following this, he was made a state ward to cover the expenses when his father's military insurance declined further payments. Upon becoming a state ward, Robert was identified with an undetermined mood disorder, a label typically applied when certain issues are recognized, but a distinct diagnosis like bipolar disorder or depression hasn't been identified. He was eventually released because of his refusal to make any progress. His treatments cost the state $265,000. While receiving counseling and drug intervention, Robert lived in group homes and a foster care setting for a span of 3 years. Former staff members at one of the treatment centers Robert stayed at remember him as a smart kid who was shy but had a couple tight-knit friends. He was also an easy target for bullying and would sometimes lash out after bottling everything up for a while. In 2005, Robert's mother re-entered his life after a 2.5-year absence for reasons unexplained. Robert's foster family that year said his mother visited him regularly. That same year, Fort Calhoun High School expelled him after he attempted to sell drugs to fellow students. He then went to Papillion La Vista High School, but decided to drop out in March of 2006, eventually earning a GED. By the end of 2006, he distanced himself from both of his parents and moved in with a couple of friends and their mother in the Quail Creek neighborhood, located in Bellevue, a suburb situated 10 miles south of Omaha. The homeowner where Hawkins resided, Deborah Maruka Kovac, described him as being, quote, troubled. She also mentioned that he was depressed after being fired from his job at McDonald's for supposedly stealing $17, and the end of his relationship with his girlfriend Casey 2 weeks earlier after he was caught cheating on her. When Hawkins was caught cheating on Casey, he went to his mother for advice, who told him not to take it so seriously, as you're not expected to be monogamous at the age of 19. Hawkins then called Casey, bragging about having sex with the new girl. When Casey burst into tears, Rob apologized and explained that he planned to end his own life soon. This wasn't the first time Casey had heard him say that, and she was especially sensitive to the threat, since her ex-boyfriend had ended his own life. But this time, instead of talking Robert out of it as usual, she let it go. During the summer of 2007, Hawkins attempted to join the U.S. Army, but was denied due to his documented mental health issues. On November 24, 2007, Hawkins received a ticket under suspicion of aiding in a minor's delinquency and 2 alcohol-related offenses, one being the illegal possession of alcohol as a minor. He was scheduled for an arraignment on December 19, 2007. In late November 2007, Hawkins issued threats to a local teen, intending to kill her family and burn down her home because he suspected her of taking his CD player. However, the teen refrained from pressing charges, considering Hawkins' reputation for making empty threats. Based on records from Sarpy and Washington counties, Hawkins had a history of a felony drug offense and numerous misdemeanors filed against him. He had also been taken into custody for consuming alcohol as a minor. A mere 11 days before the shooting, he was scheduled to appear in court 2 weeks later. The night before the shooting, Robert and his mother had dinner together. His mother later stated she thinks she knew he was going to do something the next day. She could tell something was wrong with him that night. He seemed very off and dead inside. He discussed being fired from McDonald's, breaking up with his girlfriend, and went online to fill out a job application at a nearby nursing home. When Robert left that night, she checked his stepfather's gun closet, and she noticed one of the guns was missing. She thought maybe he had taken the gun to sell or pawn, but never would have thought he would use it to do what he did. On December 5th, 2007, Robert Hawkins sent his ex-girlfriend a text message, apologizing for breaking up with her. He also left his mother a voicemail.
Hi, Mom, it's me. I just wanted to let you know that I loved you. I'm sorry for everything. I'll see you later. Bye.
After receiving that message, his mother went to the home where Robert was living. The son of the woman Robert was staying with then found the letters he left behind. One was addressed to friends, and the other to family. In the notes, Hawkins refers to himself as a piece of shit and apologizes for what I've put you through. In his note to family members, Hawkins wrote that, "I can't take this meaningless existence anymore. I've been a constant disappointment, and that trend would have only continued." Another part of the note read, quote, "I just want to take a few pieces of shit with me. Just think though, I'm going to be fucking famous." Security cameras captured Hawkins initially entering the Von Maur department store's south entrance without any weapons around 1:36 p.m. After briefly walking inside and surveying the surroundings, he exited the store, returning to his vehicle. 6 minutes later, he re-entered through the same door, but now he was carrying the AK-47 style semi-automatic rifle stolen from his stepfather's residence and two 30-round magazines which were taped together, all hidden within a sweatshirt. From there, he headed straight for the elevator, taking it to the highest floor. At approximately 1:43 p.m., Hawkins stepped out of the elevator on the third floor and opened fire. 911 dispatch began to flood with calls from the mall immediately.
911, what's your emergency?
Hello, I'm calling from Panera Bread at Westroads Mall, and there were shots fired in the mall.
Yeah, by the bad mall. We're on our way out there. Anybody see any suspects or whatever?
That, I don't know. I'm back in the office, so...
Okay, yeah, we're on our way out there.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye. 911, what's your emergency?
There's shots fired.
At Von Maur? Okay, anybody see the shooter?
Nobody saw the shooter. It's probably 10 to 15 shots.
Yeah, we got that portion. We're on our way out there. We're trying to see if anybody's seen the shooter.
Thank you.
All right. 911, what's your emergency?
Has anyone called you about possible gunshots at the Von Maur?
Yes, they have. Anybody seen the suspect?
No, we have not seen a thing. We are hiding out.
Okay, yeah, we're on our way out there, man. We're trying to see if we can pinpoint where the shots are coming from and who's shooting.
His first victims were two women he encountered near the clothing stands. Store manager 24-year-old Maggie Webb and 36-year-old Angie Schuster, the department manager. Next, Robert fired shots down the atrium, resulting in the deaths of two men on both the ground and the floor above, a 48-year-old customer named Gary Scharf and a 56-year-old custodian named Gary Joy. Continuing on the third floor, he shot two individuals, resulting in one death, 66-year-old Janet Jorgensen. Robert then advanced to the customer service area, firing upon and taking the lives of three individuals there, 47-year-old Beverly Flynn, 53-year-old Diane Trent, and 65-year-old John McDonald. At this point, Robert had fired 47 of his 60 rounds available between his two magazines and decided to end his own life by shooting himself up the chin. Omaha police arrived at Westroads Mall about 6 minutes after receiving the first 911 call. In total, Hawkins was responsible for the death of 8 individuals in the attack. 6 of the deceased were staff members of the Von Maur store, and the 2 others were customers. 4 of the victims shot by Hawkins survived. 2 critically injured were store employees. The 4 survivors were 61-year-old Fred Wilson, a manager for the customer service department, who received a gunshot wound to his upper chest and had lost 3/4 of his blood and had no pulse by the time he arrived at the ER. 65-year-old customer service employee Michelle Oldham, who sustained multiple injuries to her back and abdomen, 34-year-old customer Jeff Schaffert, who was treated and released for a gunshot wound to his left arm and pinky of his left hand, and 34-year-old customer Mandy Haida, who received bruising when a bullet fragment struck her left leg. An autopsy performed on Hawkins indicated he had a level of 200 nanograms per milliliter of Valium present in his body during the shooting. There was no evidence of any other drug in his system. Following the shooting, the Von Maur store became a focal point of mourning, adorned with flowers, messages of sympathy, and spontaneous tributes dedicated to the victims. By January 12, 2008, a relief fund set up for the affected families had garnered over $1 million. Hawkins's mother, Molly, has committed to sharing insights into her son's life and is an active user on Reddit at the time of this recording.